an angel. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us today. And again, maybe just for the record, read your name into it. Let us know who you are, where you're at, and then I'll do a little bit of an intro and let you know what the heck I'm up to on this end.
Sure. I'm Laura. I'm from Cuba, and we're in Vancouver, Surrey, British Columbia.
So I'm Angel Torrella. I'm her dad. We are originally from Cuba, living in Canada for almost 20 years now.
Yep.
And we are located right now in Surrey, in BC.
Perfect. Well, we're in beautiful Alberta here, the province of the strong and free. And Mr. Torrella, your daughter was nice enough to give me a ride. I was going to an event. It was the 75th anniversary of India, and the Consulate General had invited me out there. I'm the parliamentary secretary out here to the Premier, an MLA, and the Chief Government Whip. And, it's kind of weird in these days and times where the kids all think socialism is cool, and then we start seeing some ripple effects of it. And as a politician, especially as one from our province heading over to British Columbia, which is a little bit different on some of the policies, I'm always a little shy to openly talk too much. But your daughter was starting to talk a little, and the longer the ride was going, the more we found out we were a little bit of kindred spirits, I guess. So with all the kids out there, what would you say socialism is, a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, whoever defend this ideology never, ever live one single minute of their life under this slavery system.
Yeah.
Because this is modern slavery. So I spent 41 years. I'm an expert in socialism. I've seen socialism for 41 years, imagine. So whoever defend this ideology is from books, but never from reality. So it's horrible, and it's very difficult to explain because people most of the time don't believe that it's like that. They say, no, this is not possible. Well, eventually someday I had to write down all this, because we need this for the history. Everything that we had to live there and why we are living here. When everybody asked me, what are you doing here? You're from Cuba. What are you doing here? The weather there is fantastic. And I said, yes, imagine why I'm here. That's right. The weather there is fantastic, beautiful landscapes, beautiful beaches. Why I'm here? Ask yourself this question. And just to start this picture, the last picture that I have from Cuba, I never went back in 20 years because I'm not welcome there, by the way. I'm not allowed to go there. I'm a traitor, and I'm actually in a blacklist.
So we are considered traitors. We're not traitors, but we are considered.
Yeah, for them.
Yeah, for them we are.
Yeah. We are traitors. And the last picture that I have from Cuba is not a beautiful beach, even when we used to live with the ocean in front of us, a beautiful view. But the last picture that I have is a fat lady from the government counting my spoons. Yes, my spoons on the countertop and sealing my house.
Really?
Yeah, that's the last picture that I have from Cuba.
So were you were still a young man when it went from what it was before in the 50s to where it became with Castro and everything else? Were you was a little guy?
I was born in 1963.
Okay.
He was there in 1959.
Okay. So you didn't know anything else growing up but the new revolution and the way things were going?
Well, I was lucky. My parents, even when at the beginning they were involved in the system, like almost 99% of Cubans back then, but very quickly they realized that that was a completely disaster. And home, I grew up talking about politics with my parents and living with a ghost. Who was the ghost? Was the brother of my grandfather that was shot by Che Guevara.
Wow.
Executed.
Executed. And this person was all the time there. The ghost of this person, to the point that it's very difficult for me to pass one day without remembering his name. I never met him. He was shot in 1962, before I was born, but the name was always there.
Yeah. So how did it get worse? Like growing up as a kid, did it progressively get worse?
Well, this process is 65 years old. 65.
Yeah.
So already almost 5 generations went through the whole process, and never was well, never was good, never was positive. So it was just making people more and more poor, more dependent from the government, and no goods, no properties, nothing, owning nothing. What we have right now there is probably the last stage of this process. And hopefully, because the next step is a genocide. This is what's coming next. So right now, this process of killing Cubans is slow, but it's actually getting faster and faster. So the next step is just removing Cubans from the island. They will keep the island for themselves, and they will start importing workers from India or China, I guess.
They already have done that.
Yeah. So this is what happens if we don't stop them.
So the parallels, I mean, you know, Laura, you and I were talking a bit. You were, I think it was 9 years old, wasn't it, when you came here?
19.
19, sorry. So yeah, you're a young lady already. What have you seen in parallels? I mean, from your life when your parents managed to get out, and that's an interesting story, Angel. You have to tell me about that, how that worked. But now you come over to Surrey and you see, you know, the land of opportunity and hope and all those good things. And then now you're, you know, married. And what have you seen since you've been 19 in Canada and British Columbia specifically? What parallels are you starting to see?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because, you know, as a young lady, you don't have the opportunity to live through that for too long. But you can see some things. And the things I have seen are the school system. So the school system, the way they're doing right now with indoctrination, I think they're working really hard right now to indoctrinate kids into an ideology, a social ideology, which is not good. I don't think that's good. The other thing that I see is with the freedom of information. So anything that you say, you have to be careful because you're going to be canceled. So you have to censor yourself. And I think they're doing a really good job with that, with trying to make people censor themselves. They don't want you to say what you think, but what they want to hear. So I see that happening as a parallel with Cuba right now.
And Angel, was that consistent with back in Cuba from how they started to turn as well?
Well, we are talking here about 3 different countries. Cuba, what was Canada 20 years ago, and what is Canada nowadays?
Yeah.
So we are talking here 3 different countries. So the Canada that I found when we came in 2004 is far from what we have nowadays.
Absolutely.
Far.
Yeah.
So it's incredible. I remember I had a discussion online with a politician from here, from the province, and they want to tax us for going to the States. And yeah, of course.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Some NDP.
Oh.
So they want to tax us because we go to the States. It's very close. It's 20 minutes driving to cross the border. And we used to do some shopping there, groceries, whatever. Sometimes just spending the day. And he said, this is bad for Canada, and we should start. Actually, he introduced a proposal to tax Canadians every time that we cross the borders. And I said, you have no idea what you are actually doing. You are buying rope for your neck. Do you think you will tax me only? No. You will get taxed too. Your family will get taxed too. And this is how dictatorships are actually built. Don't imagine that overnight there is a dictator that established some system and that's it. No. A dictatorship, in my experience, is brick by brick, step by step. This is the other parallel that I find between Canada and Cuba. And it's actually this brick by brick. So you give up something, some freedom, whatever. And they say, well, okay, it's one thing, it's not much. But yeah, tomorrow there is another and another. When you wake up, you have already the wall there. And that was actually the discussion that I had with this politician. Looks like he learned from this story because he never actually mentioned again this proposal. Looks like he then make a letter. He make a letter to me. I really appreciate that he took actually the time to write a letter, and he said that was not his intention. That was only an idea. And I was right, he said. So I really appreciate that. But there are so many things that we can actually put side by side with Cuba and Canada, the situation that we have right now, that is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible how life is actually getting. So probably Canadians don't have the experience, but let me tell you something, Cubans, we have a special sense.
Yeah, we do.
We can detect a communist from miles away. They stink always. And we can detect them.
Yeah.
Believe me, what we have right now, if we don't stop it, we will fall too.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the scary part. You've made some references, and I have some folks from friends actually that came from Romania. They were just university students when communism fell, but the stories that they hearkened prior to that, it was the same thing. It was a scarcity of resources. People couldn't freely speak. They didn't know what was going on. Laura, to your point, they weren't sure what was the key word or code of the day that you were allowed to say that 3 days ago you weren't. Everyone was always on edge. And then, what we saw here, especially during, the COVID issues that took place, each jurisdiction was a little bit better or worse than the next one. And then the amount that people started to change and even embrace some of those things that were taking place. And now it's almost like they've been conditioned to a certain degree, and they don't want to go back to what it was like before. There's this new normal that they want to try to live in. Was that something similar as well? Is that kind of the pattern you saw?
Yeah, that's actually the way this type of ideology are getting introduced in every society. So happened the following. When Venezuela in the 1998 decided to elect this dictator, Chavez, we told them, you're crazy. You don't know what you're doing. You know what they said? Venezuela is not Cuba. We are different. We are brave. We have guns. I said, yeah, you will see.
We have resources because
we have resources.
Yeah,
we have lots of oil. We have borders also. So we are not Cuba. We are not Cubans. Therefore, check what is Venezuela right now.
Yeah.
Then every time Mexico is now next, believe it or not, they will miss tortillas and tacos very soon. They won't be able to do anything that they are doing right now very soon. And they answer the same thing. I have every time exchange in different websites, and they always say the same, Cubans, we are not Cubans. We are not cowards. We are brave. And I said, okay, as Venezuelans. They said exactly the same thing. And I'm telling right now Canadians are telling me we are not Cubans again. We are different. We are the North and we are the free. And I said, yeah, we used to be Canada in 1958. If you don't know, Cuba was a magnet attracting immigration from all over the world. Just to let you know, in the Canadian embassy in Rome, in the Cuban embassy in Rome in 1958, there were 16,000 people in a waiting list to move to Cuba.
Wow.
This is telling you that we have a very, very amazing economy. Cuba was doing great, incredible great in terms of economy. What we had was a political issue. We had a dictator, Batista.
Okay.
That was the issue, but we had no social issues. We had no economic issues. So Cuba had a wonderful island there, full of everything you can imagine.
Innovation of all kinds.
Yeah. Technology, architecture, everything. We had everything to the point that Americans used to go there. And they loved to go there. And people from all over the world moving to Cuba, and was a waiting list to move to Cuba. Who want to move to Cuba now?
It's the other way around.
Well,
I just, I just remember something else about your question earlier. In the beginning of the revolution, they started to take away guns from people.
That was one of the first laws.
So they had a slogan actually saying, guns what for, right?
Why guns?
Why guns? Why do you want guns? So they took away all of the guns, all of them. So this is a way of controlling people and keeping people in place because they don't have a way to defend themselves anymore. So, and this is something that's happening now.
Well,
it is in a big way. And in Alberta here, so what we end up doing is I was a part of the firearms task force. So when the federal government started messing with it one more time, I basically told our premier at the time, if you don't put me on this task force, you're going to see me in the newspapers standing in the courthouse fighting this. So one way or the other, it's going to happen. Yeah. So we ended up putting our task force together, got our own chief firearms officer. We started influencing those items. And we were trying to let people know that it wasn't because we were a bunch of gun-toting rednecks. It literally is because there's a lot of people that enjoy those firearms. We've grown up with them. We've been out in rural areas. A lot of us enjoy pistol shooting as well, a lot of the white-collar folks. And it was kind of like, well, why do you need that? Well, it's not necessarily a need, but you need to have some of these things for the other items you're talking about. And the need in my backyard is if a coyote comes running through my backyard and going after my livestock, I need something more than stern words to take care of it. The next thing that they did was obviously recently with the pistols and the revolvers. So now they've taken away, and as an MLA, I'm a commissioner of oaths. I report directly to the premier as her parliamentary secretary. I'm not allowed to purchase or sell any more handguns. Like they've literally taken that away. And there's a number that they're taking away of different configurations that they seem to be picking. What's really scary to me as well, they're taking away pellet guns and BB guns and even paint markers from children. It's one of the easiest ways to teach responsible firearm safety. They're taking that away. And again, they're using this urban-rural divide on us as well. And for you to say these things just makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up again, because it's just validating that path.
There is one person in jail in Cuba right now for importing slingshots.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, apparently David did kill Goliath with the sling, so maybe they're worried about that happening again.
So was not even a full slingshot, was only the rubber bands. He put it inside of some electronic device, and I don't know how they detect it, and he's in jail right now.
For rubber bands, for surgical tubing. Yeah, this is wild.
Yeah. that extreme they are right now.
That's how scared they are.
And took for the Cuban dictatorship took 65 years to get where we are right now. Canada is running. It's not slow. Canada is like running in this direction. Cuba was step by step. Canada is doing runs. So we are really, really fast in this direction. If we don't wake up, I have a question for all Canadians. Where will we go? Because yes, once they get the power, the absolute power, there is no way you can fight back. They have the guns. They have everything. They can kill you. The whole world will look somewhere else. The UN will do nothing because they are the UN. If you don't know, Cuba is right now sitting in the Human Rights Commission at UN right now. So they are UN. They are all these organizations. So I have a question for all Canadians. I'm a Canadian too. Okay, this is my country. I don't have any other country. They took my country. They took my citizenship. I'm not allowed to return to my country.
Yeah, we're not considered Cubans.
We are not considered Cubans even. So I have a question for all Canadians. Where you will go? Because once you give up everything, you will have to run.
Yeah.
Where do we go? I came to Canada running from the father. I found the son here. Yeah. He sounds Castro. I swear on God. He sounds Castro. So I run from the father. Irony. I found the son here. Unbelievable. So I have no any other place to run. I'm too old to run, by the way. So they will have to kill me here.
Well,
because I'm not running.
You know, and it's been said before, right? They don't need our generation. They just need our kids. You know, and they're progressive. What I've seen since the timelines that you've said as well, for me, it was 2014 is when I started seeing that accelerated standpoint. That's when I got interested in politics, and then we saw the progression out here in Alberta from 2015 to 2019. There was probably 80% of our team that were never politicians before. We jumped in and we thought we would give this a try before we lost our province. And literally my campaign slogan was, let's take our province back. It wasn't unabashed. There was a gentleman from Hungary. He had came over here in the 60s, and he ended up coming to our campaign office and just hanging out, having a coffee, talking. And after about 2 hours, similar to you, Angel and Laura, he basically said, your country is worth saving. You have to stand up or no one else will before it's too late. And that's what he saw. He never went home again to see his mom or family, and he had the same circumstances you did. But the country welcomed him. He did well here. The province was good to him. And he got a little misty-eyed and frustrated to see that could be happening again as well.
And I have some news for Canadians again. Romanian, Hungary, Czech Republic, so even West German, they were paradise in front of Cuba. So the closer you have to Cuba is North Korea.
Yeah.
It's the closest you can get is North Korea. So for us, I remember living in Cuba, we dreamed about having something similar to what this country had, East European countries had in the past. We dreamed having this.
So how is it that Canadians, you know, we've been going back and forth to Cuba, and we go on holidays and we do all these things, and Laura kind of let me in on it when I kind of said the key words, there's two Cubas, there's two currencies, there's two everything. So how is it that we can go there and then feed that machine and be completely oblivious to what's taking place?
So right now, you need to be as stupid or crazy to go there.
Yeah, but I think that they've done a really good job with the Canadian government to sell this propaganda in Canada, and not just in Canada, in the whole world, basically, to make people think that this is a good place to go to, that this is a good system that obviously looks beautiful on paper, and all this ideology looks amazing on paper, but the reality is a completely different thing. You cannot make everyone equal because not every person is equal to each other.
Yep.
So that's that. So here in Canada, you could see all this propaganda at Costco TVs. You could see Cuba pictures, beautiful. I've seen them, and I go like, this is my country, but this is not the reality.
Yeah.
So it's easy to believe beautiful picture on a screen at Costco and imagine yourself there. So, with the weather in Canada, everybody wants to go to weather like that, but they don't go to the real Cuba. That's not the real Cuba.
Now tourists are also feeling the real Cuba.
Yeah, of course.
In the last year, everything is just going worse and worse. This is what I said. We are now seeing the last stage of this horrible criminal dictatorship. And it's also touching tourists too. So we had in the last 6 months, some few stories about Canadians in Cuba. You have no idea how much I enjoy. Yeah. Oh, it was a nightmare. It was hell. I told you, don't go. I told you many times, don't travel to Cuba, because first you are feeding this horrible dictatorship. First.
Yeah, because they own all those hotels. That's not private.
Yeah. There is no private anything. Yeah. Nothing is private in Cuba. Don't believe.
They own it.
They own everything.
Yeah.
Okay. This family, because it's two families actually, they own everything. The whole Cuba with 10 million of slaves. Then you go there and you feed this system for more repression, for more killing, for more torture. So every time I heard a Canadian saying, oh, that was a nightmare, I almost died there, I said, I told you.
Yeah.
I like to hear that you learn the lesson. So right now, going to Cuba, you could be assaulted because...
Assaulted, yeah.
Yeah, violence there is horrible right now.
Yeah.
Even with guns. So it's very dangerous to be in some locations alone or even in group, because they are many. You can get sick really bad because the water is all contaminated. There is no clean water. There is no drinkable water. And then you say, I will buy a bottle. Yes. There is a group of people dedicated to refill. They grab the bottles from the garbage, they wash it, and they refill with the water from the tap that is contaminated by the water. And then you say, but it's sealed. Yes, they have the machine to put the cap and looks brand new.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, then I will drink beer. Like in the Middle Ages, drinking only beer. I have some news for you. There are some underground beer factories. They produce some horrible beer that is also contaminated, and they fill the cans and they put it in every coffee shop, every bar. You go there and you say, oh, but it's sealed, it's original. Yes, it's fake, and you will get sick. If you get a shower, this water is contaminated. And the healthy thing you can get there is hepatitis. That's a healthy thing you can get. We have now there a collection of all type of diseases that you have no idea. We had lots of rain this week there. I don't know if you've seen the news. Havana on the water. Flooded completely. So do you know what happened? All black waters will be together with everything. And then you say, oh, I will import my water. Guess what? You touch something, you put the hand in your mouth, you get sick. That's it. The food, you have no idea. Horrible. So we have lots of blackouts now. 16 hours without electricity. Very common. And then the food that is in the fridge spoils. Do you think they will toss it away? No. They will cook it and they will serve to you in the restaurant.
So with the parallels, and again, we're seeing a lot of things here where this ends up. And to your point, we're talking about three countries. The Canada we used to have when you came here, God bless you for coming here. And thank you for coming on the, to talk to me on this, what matters to you, thing that we do here as well. So now we're seeing in Canada, the internet is being censored. We literally had a bill C-59, that just said anyone, it's in the energy sector, that talks about the benefits of energy, of our clean energy, any of the initiatives that we're doing with carbon capture, the fact that we're reducing, pollutants and outputs, all these type of things. If anyone says that or advertises, they can be sued now, regardless of whether it's proof or not. Like, if you lie, okay, that's one thing, perjure, all those things are false narratives. But if you're actually telling the truth as an engineer, taking a spreadsheet, showing the outputs that's coming out of a smokestack, or showing how much we're reducing and we're putting down whole and then all of a sudden we can be sued. Like, it's raising alarm bells all over on our side. We never thought we would see this. So is that what you're talking about, Angel? Is that race where we're just headlong now at this point?
Yeah. They are actually very fast building the wall. And they are not putting now even brick by brick. They're putting set of bricks there, one after the other.
Yeah.
And they will try to finish the brick, the wall, probably before election. They will try to do something to cancel the elections. They will declare, I don't know.
Emergency part 2 and call another emergency order and act?
Yeah.
Any justification will do.
Remember what I said. We can smell from miles away.
Yeah.
So when people say, no, this is paranoia, this is conspiracy theories, they say, I've seen this for 41 years.
Yeah.
I know how they look. They put in a stick. They put it in front of you. They say it's Nutella, but it's not Nutella.
Yeah. This is frightening. The other one too is in school. So my kids, I had 4, kids of school age, and then we ended up pulling 3 of them out during the COVID thing, and they started homeschooling, and now they've gone back into school. The girls really noticed the difference between their classmates of what they were being taught over that 2 to 3 year period since they were out to going back in, and what they were being taught, and a lot of it came down to social studies. The whole idea of history has been changed. The whole idea of what's real or not, that's kind of been changed. They're more fixated on pronouns and emotions than they are on science. Like, there's all these things. Where does that stop? Like, how does, in your opinion, where does that go?
Okay, I'm a teacher, by the way.
Oh, wow, wonderful. This is good.
I'm a teacher, but in a college. I'm teaching a college, more technical things, not social sort. So communists, they never work for the first generation. So they work always targeting second and third generation, and this is what they are doing. So one day your kid is coming from school, and guess what? He's your enemy. Your kid, will consider you the enemy. And we've seen this in Cuba. Families divided, like you have no idea. Brothers against brothers, fathers against kids, kids against fathers, wife against husband, because this is how they work. So they need to divide this important cell that is the family. And they attack first the family. This is why all this stupid ideology of gender and everything is actually working in this direction. Yeah. They are targeting the second and the third generation because they know. Do you think they can convince me? No way. Yeah. So do you think they can convince her? No. They go for the next generation. Yeah. This is what they do.
Well, and when we got elected, sorry, go ahead, Laura.
No, I was just going to add to that I think to your question, where does it stop? It starts with the first generation, because we have to make sure the next generation knows the reality and show them history, actual history, not what they're trying to tell them, all this nonsense they're trying to teach kids now. The work is in our hands. We have to do the work. We have to talk to them. We have to show them the reality. We have to tell them, listen, this is not a system that you want ever, because it's been tried so many times in so many countries. It never worked. What makes you think that it's going to work again?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the people who invented it don't want it. So what makes you think that we want it? No, this is not good. This is an ideology that has killed 100 million people.
Over 150 million.
Well, over 100 million people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worse than fascism.
Yeah.
Worse than the Nazis, because more people have been killed by this ideology than in Nazi Germany.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's how, and they don't teach this to people. They don't teach this.
They hide it.
Yeah, they hide this. Like, they make it look like, oh no, it's, they hide
They did
this
wrong, we will do right.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Always the same. Now it's going to work. The same story.
Well, through my daughter in grade 4, through her social teacher, so I started paying more attention. We always went to the parent-teacher interviews and did those things, and kids were always doing great. And then, you start paying attention to some things that are coming up around the supper table. And it was this revisionist history part where, the dictators and the fascists, well, they all took over by gunpoint. And I'm going, no, that's not how it worked. So my daughter, when she was writing a paper, she wrote history, because I grabbed a few history books and threw it on the table, and she, went through it and read and wrote that. The teacher marked it wrong. That's not history. They all took, no. So we literally had this argument going through my child back to the teacher. Well, then I got elected and I had a little bit more direct communication. But that's where it really started to frighten me, that you can easily change reality. You can change history and perceptions through the kids, like you're saying, through that second generation.
This is what they do every time they rewrite history. So completely. One day we will have to write Cuban history.
Because actual Cuban history.
Yeah. The last, and I would say the last 65 years of communism, I would say even the last 70 years of history, because we had a dictator before. We cannot ignore that. So there was a dictator also, and he also did some changes in the history. So we need to actually review the last 70 years, imagine that, of history. And when Cubans move out of Cuba and they are exposed for the first time, imagine, to information, free information, they can read books that are not allowed to read in Cuba, or watch videos, movies that they are not allowed to watch in Cuba. Guess what? We rediscovered Cuba. It's like a what? So then it's very, very hard, because heroes are not heroes and demons are not demons.
Yeah. Well, I think
you have to start.
Well, I think George Orwell said it well. He who controls the present controls the past. He who controls the past controls the future.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do we do from here, you guys? Like, you're scaring the bejeebas out of me. So in Alberta, are we on the right track here? Like, we've made sure there's choice in education. We're rewriting the curriculums. We're making sure that we're putting space there. We definitely believe in parental rights, making sure that the families are kept there.
Well, first, I'm open to talk to people whenever you want. I'm 100% open.
Awesome.
So I have nothing to lose, of course. I don't care if they try to censor me. I'm too old to get scared. When you reach some age, I don't care, I have kids, grandkids. I have a great profession, a great career. So nothing can scare me. I survived communism. I will survive this guy too.
So what would you say, then, Angel, to the difference? Like, I get in these arguments, obviously, in the House. It's surreal seeing some of the opposition members who belong to a socialist party not claiming they're socialist until the timing's right. And that they say, well, it's not communism. It's, it's socialism better. What would you say is the difference between socialism and communism?
There is not difference. It's not at all different. It's what I said. They put in a stick in front of your nose. You said, That's shit. He said, no, it's Nutella.
No, they disguise it as socialism.
Yeah, they try to pass light with this socialism, but it's exactly the same thing.
The same idea.
Yeah.
Same method, same techniques, exactly the same. It's all by the book. It's what I said. We can detect this from miles away. Believe me, I see somebody walking in the street and I said, this is a communist. I said, how do you know? They walk in a particular way. They look in a particular way. They dress in a particular way. So I can detect communists from miles away, literally. But there is hope. There is hope. 2 days ago, we celebrate here in the middle of the night. You know what we celebrate? The middle of the night was like 3 a.m., 2 a.m. St. Paul, Toronto.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So we celebrate here home, and people say, but you're in BC, yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
It
one
matters.
more time, we can also see when there is some good thing. And what happened in St. Paul there is really, really good. So that is the stronghold of the liberals. It's full of Marxists. I don't know if you checked the list. There was one guy, Marxist, trying to get elected. And I'm surprised to see that he got like a 50-something people voting for him. I will pay a flight ticket one way to Cuba, to these people.
Yeah.
And I will even look for some friends there so they can settle, they can start a new living there. But I will take the passport with me and one-way ticket.
Yeah.
Then I would like to see how long they will be.
They'll survive there,
Yeah. And that was one of the comments that folks made. There hasn't been a socialist or a communist country yet to build walls to keep people from coming in.
Mm-hmm.
It's
doesn't exist.
The wire's set the other way.
Have you seen a raft going to Cuba from Florida?
No. Well, there was this one president that sent some rafts, but that didn't work out very well. Yeah, but I'm glad you're keeping your sense of humor. I mean, and part of that too is, like you said, that age where you just, it is what it is, and things are as they appear. And it appears that, we're on the right track here if we can hold the line. A lot of us can work together. They're literally trying to, they took over the media. There's no question there. So what we're doing here today is I do a little, recording like this, and we try to get it on social and share it amongst friends and do that. And it's what matters to you. It's both an open-ended question, asking people what matters to them, and then also talking about it when you find out what matters to people. I put little articles in the local newspapers because a lot of the little newspapers are being bought up as well by different bigger companies, and they won't allow open conversation. They only want the canned message that they want out there. And to see those changes in our own province over the last number of years is just absolutely frightening.
Yeah, I think that what we can do, and I'm doing this alone, little by little. Whenever I can, I'm actually telling my story.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have 41 years of experience and 20 years of experience in Canada. So I have both sides, and I'm actually open to share that. So whenever you want, we can actually share with the people, because I think that that's the only way. When you hear from firsthand, it's not something that you read in a book or you watch a movie. No, firsthand, I can tell you things that you will say, no, I don't believe you. And I will prove you.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, a lot of people just believe that'll never happen here. It couldn't possibly happen here. It's happening to us right now. These steps are in place, and the good news is, and I said this to Laura as well, where I was telling people in my area, it's you have to flex your democratic muscle before you use it. You actually are going into democratic atrophy. If you keep just kind of passively sitting on the couch and not voting or not being involved or not being engaged, we lose. And it's not just one level of government. It's all levels of government. It's your schools. It's your municipalities, everything else, because the other side has not slept. They have been doing this, building those bricks, like you said, for generations now, and now they're running to get the job done. And if we don't stand up together and speak out and say those things, yeah, where do we go?
So there is also something that I always said. If I decide to do a Nazi party, I'm allowed to do it? Can I create a Nazi party?
Well, it rose by any other name. You just have to call it something different, apparently.
Okay, so that means that this ideology and symbols are not legal.
Well,
correct.
Here's the interesting part. So when I was in Germany, those are absolutely illegal. You cannot talk or say anything about them in Germany.
And it should be like that.
Unless you're in a museum, and then they actually know their history and they own it. Over here, we just celebrated a former Nazi in our parliament.
Exactly. This is where I go. Should be illegal.
Yeah.
This should
Why?
be, yeah.
Just for respect to all these victims, innocent victims,
Yep.
should be illegal. Okay. Then the second question is why communism is legal? It has more victims, more innocent victims.
Yep.
I consider myself a survivor of this system. So why? And I see many people die.
Yeah.
Friends, family, victims of this ideology. People that are rotting in jail right now. Right now, Cuba has over 1,000
Political
prisoners there. Some of them just raising a poster that said freedom. And these people are going 20 years to jail.
Well,
And a jail in Cuba, you have no idea.
Yeah.
So here in Canada, any jail is a 5-star hotel comparison to a jail in Cuba.
Yeah.
They even have minors in jail for protesting, for just saying we want freedom. That's all they've done. They didn't,
a human right
yeah.
letter, the Declaration of Human Rights. If they caught you with this, you go to jail.
Mm-hmm. This is the Cuba that Canada doesn't know about.
Exactly. And I want to tell Canadians what's going on with this ideology that they are celebrating.
Yeah.
Complicity. Because if you don't know, we have lots of business there.
Canadian business.
Yeah. Cherry is one of them.
Which one is this? Sorry.
Minery.
Okay.
The mining company. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Extracting the minerals that we need for batteries, for electric cars. And just check online, MOA. That's the name of the place. You will be shocked to see what they are doing there. They are destroying the whole environment around, and they use slave labor there.
Yeah.
Canada is paying the salary of this worker to the government, not to the workers. And they get some peanuts to survive. That's slavery. And Canada is contributing to that.
That's pretty sobering.
We have also hotels, resorts there. Right now, one small key there has actually full ownership from a Canadian company. The workers there are Cubans. They don't receive the salary. Mm-hmm. This company pays to the dictatorship the salary, and then they give some peanuts to the worker there.
Probably not even 5%.
No, not even 5%. This is happening right now.
So is that what when they say you'll own nothing and be happy? Is that what they mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's you give me lots to think about, and again, Laura, can't thank you enough for talking to me openly in the cab ride.
You know what? It's my pleasure. I make it my mission to speak to every person that I encounter about this. If they touch the subject, I will put on the tape and play it, because the people don't have any idea of what's happening over there and why it's happening, and they think it's a paradise, and they think it's everything is so good. No, this is not what it is, and they get so surprised that they think, like my dad was saying, that I'm lying. I'm not lying, and I say, if I keep going, you would believe me even less, because it's unbelievable how
I had to many times tell only part of the story, because if I said everything, people said, no, you're lying.
Yeah, and they don't realize how, what are they capable of doing
They had no limit.
In order to stay in power, to keep power, to control people. They imagine 65 years what they've done to stay there for that long. So they've done
everything you can imagine and more.
Yeah.
So how did you get out? Did you literally escape?
Almost. It's a funny story. I had the opportunity to meet some person that did the program Skill Work in Immigration from the Canadian government. And that person actually explained to my brother and me about the program. So I don't know how they allow that, to be honest. I mean, the dictatorship. I don't know what they are getting from that. I'm not sure if it is all the money that I pay, if it is the house that they rob from me. I don't know exactly, but there was a system that exists nowadays, changed a lot, but basically is Canada looking for professionals.
Okay.
And then I applied to the program as a skilled worker, and it's about points. So depending on the points, you can actually qualify. And I qualified. Amazing. I qualified. Then the next was getting the liberation. Yeah. Like a slave.
Yeah.
The liberation.
An actual letter.
Of liberation.
Yeah.
They call it the white letter.
Yeah.
And this liberation tells that you can leave the country.
Yeah.
That you're free to leave the country. Happened that, I can say right now, because it doesn't matter. I lie like you have no idea to get this letter. I actually pay also with my art, with money to get, because to get this letter is not one letter. It's you need to get step by step different letter from different people. I won't mention names because they can go to jail for that, for sure. Yeah. But yes, I had to actually pay, lie to get this liberation.
From them, yeah.
Yeah, and this is how we arrived here.
Wow. And how did you pick the Surrey area? Was that our federal government said where you needed to go, or did you get a chance to pick?
No, actually, once we arrived here, we had freedom to go to wherever. Why we decided to come to BC, specifically this city, was because I had my brother here. Yep. He came 3 months before me for the same program. And I had also my cousin that was living here as well. So I have some connection to come here. That's why.
Otherwise, we would have gone to Alberta.
It's never too late.
Yeah.
Well,
we're considering.
we are considering. It's impossible for me to stay here after my retirement.
Yeah.
So I won't be able to keep this house. I won't be able to actually support my wife. My wife is not able to work, unfortunately. And we won't be able, with my retirement, to keep the house. So we will have to eventually move. Yeah. Now we don't know. We don't know where to move, because every time we pick a location, it's like something happening to this place. like a socialist in the government, for example. And then I cancel that because no, I'm not going to go through all that again.
Well, I might be a little biased, but I would suggest in rural Alberta, there's your stronghold. In our area, I think I won by like 68% of the vote or something like that. And I'm on the edge of Edmonton. So that's as close as you can get to what is one of the socialist, state or the cities, so to speak. But, that lean more towards that side. But with what we're doing here, we've seen a massive influx, and folks sometimes don't hear the message because, our communications are being stifled as well. But we've seen 200 to 300,000 Canadians that are already here moving to Alberta. We're not showing any signs of slowing down. Freedom still sells here, and it's still real. We still hold it very near to our heart. And our whole provincial motto literally is strong and free. So it'll be pretty tough to get that one out of our hands a second time. And, what we're working on is, again, some of those core principles, which, quite frankly, really encourages me. So when you're talking about the choice in education, when you're talking about the family, when you're talking about affordability, when you're talking about making sure that people stand up, and the fact that we put a sovereignty with the United Canada Act, as Saskatchewan did the Saskatchewan First Act, we're really holding very new or near and dear to our hearts the Constitution the way it was intended, the way our country is supposed to be run. And every time Sparkle Socks comes up with something else there to do it, we're just going to fight him in court. He can take us to court. We're just not doing it. A lot of folks that we get criticized for is we're not, going along with them. Well, to your point, we've been going along for too long at this point, and it's not going to get better. It's just going to accelerate. So we're holding the line. So Alberta would welcome you with open arms, sir. And Laura, anytime you come over sooner than later, you bring your family, we'll get you set up.
Well, I'm serious when I said I won't be able to stay here after my retire. So I will need to look for somewhere.
Yeah, and that's part of it. We don't have the nicest winters, but I can tell you full well it's not drizzly, rainy, and cloudy. It's sunny Alberta. You might be a little bit colder, but sunshine's still out, so you might enjoy it.
I have no problem with the winter. So
perfect.
In my previous life, I used to be a polar bear. So
we'll get along just fine, sir.
So I have no problem with winter. So just a good jacket and good coffee.
Yep.
And just moving ahead.
And the other thing that we've been doing too on the federal side is we've been traveling abroad as Alberta, as Saskatchewan's doing the same thing, and as Quebec does, and representing ourselves as much as we can. Like, we've been finding out that the story that's being told abroad isn't the correct story about what's happening back home, and it sure isn't to our benefit. So we're taking that our show on the road as well, and that's what we're finding seems to be opening doors and opening minds and conversations to bring it up. But I know you're pressed for time here on your end. Any last words or any words of advice of what we should do and what we can do?
Yeah.
So much I could say. They are here, is what I can say. They are here.
Okay.
I see them. I recognize them. They are here. They are inside.
Yeah.
And they are working hard. We have to wake up.
With that, those are words to live by. Thank you so much for doing that. And I have a sneaky suspicion this isn't the last time we're going to be talking.
Anytime.
Yeah. Thank you so much. God bless you for coming on. And Laura, thank you. You keep doing what you're doing. And I honestly think you should step up and be a politician here and help out a little bit too. And I'll coach you all you want if you need.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I really appreciate what you're doing, and we need more people like yourself. So please stay strong, and don't let them,
don't give up.
You.
You have here a small group of Cubans. We are on the same page because we all had the same experience. So the Cubans, that at least the group that we have, is actually very, very oriented. So we know exactly what we want, and here we are. If you need our help, let us know.
Oh, I appreciate it. And they do make you second guess yourself, and then meeting folks like yourself, they're absolute validators. Like you said, you've lived it, you've seen it. It's not from a book, it's not a story. And when you say that they are here and they are working on it, it's I take that very seriously. So thank you for that. And with that, I guess, folks, this is what matters to you. I had Laura and Angel on here tonight talking about the other Cuba and what's going on in our backyard. So until next time, take care.
Let go. Waking up the buzzard on an old Black County road. We're just rolling coal.